In this quick demo, I'm going to show you how to create a trigger in SQL that enforces a business rule inside the database. This trigger will prevent anyone from inserting or updating an order item record with a quantity greater than 10. Triggers are great for enforcing your constraints because they automatically run whenever the data changes. The event causes the trigger to happen. Let's start by creating a trigger for the insert operation. So we start with our create trigger command, and this is the name of our trigger. And you have two options here, before or after. And you have the options here of insert, update, or delete. That happens to be the commands that you do to add records, modify records, or delete records. Use the keyword on, followed by the table. For each row, and then we have a begin and an end block. Within the begin and end block, we say select, and then we have a case and an end block. Keyword when, new dot quantity. So new is a keyword meaning this new record you're trying to add. So for this new record you're trying to add, if the quantity is greater than 10, then do something. What are we going to do? We're using this raise function here. This raise has two arguments. The first argument is abort. So it's going to stop the insert from happening and send this error message to the user so that they know why this has happened. Let's execute this. And notice, just like with your create tables, you don't see any output here. You just see whether or not it worked. Now the update command will be very similar. I'm going to use update of quantity. Field that we're updating, that we're checking it. And actually the rest is identical. You do want to change this so the name is different. Now, why did I have to change that? These actually become objects in the database. And just like you can't have two tables with the same name in the same database, you can't have two triggers in the same database with the same name. So I've modified the name of that, and we'll execute that. One thing about Programiz is even though these are objects in the database, as you know, every time you return to Programiz, it gets wiped out. So if you permanently want to have this trigger as a part of your database, copy the trigger into your script that generates the database. This is generally only in Programiz. In other database management systems, you're going to find that your objects persist. Now, let's test this trigger by trying to add a record, and you'll notice that the quantity field is 12, which should not be allowed. Let's see what happens. I have an error, and it's giving me the error message that was in the trigger, which is great. And a similar thing would happen if you tried to update an existing record to more than 10 quantity. But let's say that there's already an order item record for the same ID and the same product. Let's say there were already 9 items ordered for a certain product in the same order, and someone tries to add another record for the same product with additional 3. Then you still have 12, which seems to me like it's breaking the rules. However, the triggers that we had written won't work in that case. It's only looking for that more than 10 to be in one record. Let's see how that works. Wow, as you can see, it gets a little bit more complex, but we have our create trigger in our name, and all these stay the same for each row, begin and end. And what we need to do is we need to add the quantity for the new record to the quantity of existing records. So this is going to sum the quantity. Well, what's the sum of the quantity going to return us? A number. And that number will be added to 10. However, there could be an error here in that what if the quantity field is null? I don't think it should be null, but what if that were the case? Notice we have a special function similar to string functions and date functions that you did earlier. And this function says, well, what if it's null? What if What if it's null? What if what's returned here is nada? Then use a 0 for that addition. Otherwise, we're going to sum quantity for each row that matches the order ID and the product ID. Well, let's go ahead and create this trigger. And now let's test it. So here I have an insert command. And notice the quantity is 9. It's going to add a new record. And it did. I'm just going to verify that we have quantity 9. It looks like I didn't write the item ID down here, but yeah, quantity 9. Now let's try to add 3 more. So that same insert, going to change the 9 to 3. And notice my trigger worked. It's not allowing me to add the 3 additional ones to the 9. So that's triggers. Triggers help you with the constraints that you have in your database.